welcome to Community Chat. This is the first episode that we have of an upcoming series for our podcast that we're going to be having on a YouTube series. First off, we have Cyazon, which is my good friend Jeff, and we have him here for the first time. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Jeff.
Yeah, so as you know, I'm a music artist, producer, DJ based in Los Angeles, and a few things I like to do. I like to run for exercise and all of that, and I'm into the futuristic sci-fi like movies and TV shows, and very inspired by like acting eventually and all of that. So
that's wonderful. Yeah, because for me, I'm inspired by sci-fi too. If you guys don't know anything about me, my name is Antonio Venegas. I am part of a deal with my lovely partner, G, and we go by Night and Ghost. We're melodic dubstep producers, quote unquote. But the reason why we even wanted to approach you about having you on the show is because, your music is fantastic. It's very amazing, and it's very similar to stuff that we do. But also, the thing about this podcast is that, we really try to bring the community of just, artists here. Locally, we are in Los Angeles. The main reason why I wanted to start this podcast is because it's very hard to find a community, especially in our music scene, because a lot of the time when you go ahead and you really try to go out into this club scene and everything else that's kind of going on here, it's a little bit harder just because there's things that kind of stop you, for me, for example, when I go out, I get very socially awkward, and in order for me to kind of let loose, I gotta get a couple drinks and go through the whole entire routine. So I felt like this might be a better opportunity for more artists to kind of get discovered, and not only from the electronic music scene, but just overall in general. And it's just one of the things where I kind of want to bring people together to kind of showcase what they have going on. But this is an interview, so it's one of the things where we're going to have to get to the juicy stuff. So
exactly.
So one of the things I actually really wanted to ask you, and we've been friends for a while, is how did you get started in this music career? What really inspired you to come in and really want to do the whole DJ thing?
Yeah, so pretty much back around, I think it was 2012, 2013, I went to a dubstep show, Mode Step, back in Pittsburgh, and that really inspired me to just really pursue producing and DJing electronic music. And then later on, 2015, I discovered Xylent again and through the Twitch streams, and pretty much just felt more committed to pursue this path of being an artist. And pretty much from 2018, when I moved out here to LA for music school, Icon Collective, I just decided this is the path for me, for sure.
Yeah, what's really funny that you mentioned kind of Xylent and Icon Collective. I'll go back to Icon Collective for a bit, but with Xylent, funny enough, when I was interning and I was doing basically my whole experience of becoming a promoter and doing shows and being a producer, I actually met Xylent for the first time. He had a headlining show at Avalon, and I think it was back in 2018 or 19. Don't quote me.
I was there for that too.
Yeah. And it was great because we were talking about it earlier, and it was one of the things where I feel the universe kind of puts people that have the same mentality but the same goals, and they put you in the same place but you really don't know. And it wasn't until years later that I met you. You just happened to be at that exact same place. And for both of us, we both had Nick. If you guys don't know Nick was an amazing online coach that I had for music, and he actually was teaching the art of flow at Icon Collective, and it was fantastic. I found Nick, and just like yourself, he mentors the new age modern artists. He's out there shaping guys and turning them into gladiators, and it's one of the things where I'm very, I would say, humble for the fact that he was able to introduce me to his community and kind of be able to kind of expand from there. But going back to Icon Collective, how many years did you spend there? You can tell us a little bit about your journey with them.
Yeah, pretty much it was a year-long program. I started in 2018. That's when I moved to LA and then went there as well. And pretty much it was a journey of just really figuring out can I do this? And eventually not after 2018, when that program ended, I was yeah, I already know everything.
That's fantastic.
So I'm pretty confident in what I know, and I just have to keep going with it. And so I came into Icon knowing quite a bit. I feel compared to maybe some of the other students, and some of the students agreed with me too. They were just mentioning you know a lot. So it's pretty humbling to hear that.
Yeah.
As well as just go through that. So.
No, that's amazing. And it's funny enough, like when I was looking for a school, like Icon Collective was actually one of the ones that I really wanted to go. I did the tour. I got there and I noticed that you had to pay right away out of pocket. And unfortunately, I came from a very humbling background. So for me, it was one of the things where like I actually ended up going to LA recording school because it was more feasible for me. You know, they got me on financial aid and I was able to go ahead and start the program. Icon Collective was one of the main schools that I wanted to go to. But the thing is, it's like no matter where you go, you kind of find yourself in this like society, I'd say. And here in Los Angeles, it's like, you know, like it's very prominent, you know, like you have the people from like Insomniac, you got the Space Yacht Crew, you have the people from Brownies and Lemonade, you got, you know, the people from, I think it's like 1720. And basically, like, you just have this like really nice community. The hubs around here are like LA Recording School, Musicians Institute, you have Icon Collective. For my school, it was one of the things where it was really hard to find people with, you know, the same EDM background. And funny enough, I actually ended up meeting Zoe there, which, you know, goes by G, which is, if you guys don't know, she is my partner in all this, you know, my partner in crime with all this stuff. But then I ended up meeting Monica Santucci there. And funny enough, like, she was one of the very few people that actually made electronic music. And I met her when she was like just starting off and she, you know, she was exploring the world of like electronic music. I mean, if she sees this, don't quote me. I'm just kind of going off based off my experience. But at the end of the day, I felt like we came into each other's life at the same time. And just to kind of bring this up, I know that you did a collaboration with her as well.
Yeah, there's the Nexus collaboration. And she wasn't featured on it, but she was like a songwriter on it and still wanted to be a part of the song. So it was great releasing that earlier this year.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, so, you know, hopefully after this video, you know, like I'll go ahead and like post your music in the links so that way people can check you out and like really get more familiar with what you're doing.
Amazing.
And yeah, I did want to mention, I remember we were working on Lights, which is one of your most recent releases, if I'm not mistaken. And
right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was, you know, when you came over to my house and you showed it to me, I was like, oh man, you know, like I wasn't expecting something like that. 'Cause the people that, you know, come along through my doors, it's one of the things where like I'm always very impressed, very blown away because it's like as a music producer, I don't feel like I'm the best, but I feel like I have some sort of knowledge, you know, and just because I went to like a music school and got some degree, like I don't feel like I'm entitled to like a certain title, I guess. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like it's very rare to find people that have that same drive as you because, you know, like you get a lot of artists in the community that are doing it for the wrong reasons. You know, they're doing it for the women, they're doing it for the drugs, they're doing it for the attention and popularity. But then we get somebody like you that, you know, really opens, you know, like a whole universe just by, you know, like sharing your music. And it's one of the things where, you know, it's very hard to find people with a passion like that. And it's very rare too, because like I was mentioning, in this music scene, it's very few and far for people that want to come in here and actually like, you know, create art and want to share it. It's not easy to, you know, be able to do this and also have that much drive and passion because as an artist, you feel like, you know, when, you know, finances get tight and, you know, all these doors close, you know, their opportunities get very low and, you know, it's very daunting. Hearing your story from like, you know, from our personal talks about like your journey with music, you know, it's been amazing. And kind of to touch upon that, how do you feel like your musical journey has been going since you started and you moved here into like Los Angeles?
Yeah, I can touch on that. So pretty much in 2018, I went to like music school and that was really just discovering my sound a little bit more and just honing that in and really like getting that clear. And then 2019 afterwards, I kind of started like releasing music for the first time as Cyazon. So that's really when I launched the project. And then 2020, I like released a Monster Cat Night Mode, and I kind of really had a clear vision for like the synth wave, cyberpunk, and, you know, futuristic sort of sound.
Do you remember your first release, by the way?
First release was like Inception back in 2019, so it was like a dubstep release. So
and how did you feel like, you know, when you first got that email and that was like, hey, you know, like we're gonna greenlight you for that?
Yeah, definitely like a big success for sure, and just like having the confidence to know like, hey, I can do this sort of thing.
Yeah, and so how do you feel now? You know, like now that you have like all these amazing releases and all these labels, does it feel like you still get the same like, you know, feeling when you got that first, you know, greenlit approval from, you know, like the labels, or does it feel like it's kind of just like not enough and you have to take it to the next bar?
Yeah, it definitely feels like a combination of both. It feels like definitely take not enough and take it to the next bar, but at the same time, I'm so used to releasing on labels. Now it's kind of just like not a secondary thing, but you just get so used to just the process of it. It just becomes like nature, you know? So,
Yeah, so just so the people know, like I know you have an amazing, wonderful team, that kind of supports you and all the stuff that you do, and it was one of the things that like, do you have anything that you would like to share for like upcoming producers or people that are really well established?
Yeah. So pretty much what I would say is just to keep going at it and don't give up, because it's very easy to get discouraged when things don't go your way. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, and when certain opportunities don't work out, but I've always found out, like, throughout my whole career, that there's always like a way to make something work, and usually things end up panning out like eventually. So just to like surround yourself with like-minded people, network with like people in the industry, business wise, and also artists too, and you'll get there eventually. So yeah.
No, that's amazing. And like, I'm gonna kind of be like Captain Obvious here, but like, I like to tell people, there's like hardly any money in music when you're first starting off, so it's always good to get like educated and figure out like what you want to do and how you can go ahead and like go to these avenues, or even like getting a sort of network for yourself, because besides being an artist, it is a business, and a lot of people forget that like, as much as your creative talent is there, like, you have to go ahead and expand your business in order to be able to make some sort of income. I myself, I was a very struggling artist when I was younger, because it was one of the things where I was always just like making music, and I didn't really care about the business side. And it wasn't until I graduated recording arts and music production program at or as we call it, LARS, at the Los Angeles Film School. It was one of the things where like, I felt like I really needed to educate myself on the business side of things, because it's really, really hard to be able to, like, chase your dreams when you don't have any financial backing. And, it's one of the things that I kind of want to reiterate. What do you feel is the most challenging thing, for you as an artist, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah. The most challenging thing I would say is positioning yourself in front of like booking agents and labels, and sometimes managers too, and just like really getting that opportunity to go after it and be presented with more opportunities eventually. I think that's like one of my biggest things, like, even now I somewhat struggle with. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And, like earlier I was saying, it's always great to have like a good supportive network and foundation. As an artist, it's just like a business. When you have such a great product, but you can't take it anywhere, like a lot of artist struggles, we have our chit chats from time to time. It's one of the things where, like, you want to sit down and like build your brand, and you really want to go out there and, well, not your brand, but like your product, you really want to make sure that you can present yourself in the way where, like these major labels or, anybody else is basically like, they have an eye on you. And, it's funny enough that earlier that we were talking about like some of my favorite inspirational artists, and it's funny that we both have, the other Jeff, 7 Lines in common, because, like, I remember when I was first hearing about him when he came out with the Polarized EP. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry, guys.
Polarized. Polarized.
But I remember like back in the day, like when I was first heard that album, it was so great to hear something fresh, because, like during that time, you had like bingo players and Hardwell, and you had all these guys that were doing like the progressive house movement, but they all kind of sounded the same. And, it was like that 4 on the floor with like, those amazing melodies, but it was very like templatized. That's the best thing I could say. It was very generic in a way where like people were copying off each other. And it wasn't until, you got people like Martin Garrix that like, kind of, came out with the big room kicks and just, like came out with different way of being able to present this product. And, it's very important. And, I think the person that really inspired me as well, and yourself, was 7 Lines. And it was one of the guys that took something and, kind of made his own remix of what that genre was and came out with something brand new. And same thing with your music, like when I hear your music, it's something that, I feel is really relatable to a lot of other artists, but you did your own style of it. And that's what makes you so unique, and makes you the Cyazon that you are today. And, like, it's very few and far, like I was mentioning, to kind of have people that kind of have a very unique thing or a very unique sound in the way that they present themselves. When I was looking like through your socials and all that stuff, I was like, oh man, like, I was like, who's this guy? And then I was kind of going down, and I remember that the feeling that I got when I was going through your Instagram basically was like, hey, like, he has this like futuristic vibe, like this future like dystopia where it's kind of like cyberpunky, but also like very heavily influenced from like The Matrix. Because, like my roommate, by the way, Radiance, apparently he's up somewhere far, far away, but he's very influenced kind of the same things. And like I was mentioning to you, there's a lot of times where I feel that, when you have a really great brand, there's a lot of other people that can relate to it. Like I tell people all the time, it's like you don't have to go ahead and reinvent the wheel. You just have to figure out a similarity of what you feel your story world is when you're building your brand and kind of put everything together. There was this class that I took at LA Film School called Transmedia. It was one of the first classes that I got in there. And, James Lanto, if you're watching this, I thank you just for showing me that, because it was one of the things where, like, when you're building a brand, you have to think about, like, the story world and the way that you portray things. And it's really hard to do that, as an artist, because, when you go ahead and you're making a musical universe in order to go ahead and present to people, like, most people don't think about that. Most people just, they take like the trendy route and they think about like, hey, like I'm just going to talk about anything else that has to do with like just pleasing themselves. But when you can go ahead and build a very strong brand and, be able to, share your story world, it's a lot easier for people to go ahead and come in and like, relate to what you're presenting. Because, with music, it's one of the things where even though, it can be very complex, a lot of people find the relatability in it, and then they'll be able to go ahead and come back with that. And, that's what makes your connection with your audience a lot stronger.
Most definitely.
Yeah. And, it's, I find it very interesting because it's just like I've gone to shows like as long as I can remember, I'm in my 30s right now, but when I was younger, like I was going to shows for the wrong reason, just like a lot of people. But, like as you grow into the community and you start, building yourself and, you start expanding, you realize that like, there's a lot of people out there that really, truly want to go ahead and share their art and go and, be a part of the community. And I would say like, kind of like right now, like Cyazon is building a community, like, and as you're going, you're sharing your work with not just, the people on the internet, but like everybody live as well too. And, just like myself, I'm looking forward to see you live sometime very soon here in Los Angeles. But yeah, tell us what you have going on right now.
Yeah, so pretty much I have 8 unreleased tracks, songs.
Just 8?
Well, not just 8, but like I have at least 8 planned to be released throughout this year or next year with vocalists from the UK and other
singers. Any names that you can mention to us? Or?
No names.
No names.
Right now. So there's a lot of that going on in just the pitching process to labels at the moment. And that's all for right now. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, so just once again, guys, this is Jeff. He goes by Cyazon, and whenever you get the chance, go ahead and check him out, the link below. And just remember, new upcoming face that you're going to make sure you want to stick to. All right, guys, so thank you guys for coming to Community Chat, and, this is the first episode. Have a great rest of your day.